Here I'm going to show a simple way to set up a website with some of the frameworks I like to use. I'm using SvelteKit. I just go to the SvelteKit website and follow their instructions. You can use npm to create a new project. Give it a name. I'm just going to choose skeleton project here so it doesn't have the demo stuff. I'm not using TypeScript, so I chose the JS doc option. And here you just follow the instructions it gives you. Use npm to install packages. Then turn it into a Git repository. And start the server. Use this local address here, and if you paste the local address into a browser, then you can see the empty project started, or nearly empty. Now we can edit the project over here in VS Code. Here I'm finding the main page. This is what's visible in the browser now under source routes, page svelte. Just making a couple edits. This is just to show that we are editing the website. Go back to the browser and it's loaded it already. Now I'm going to add Skeleton UI, which is a framework for using Svelte and Tailwind. Tailwind is a widely used framework for making CSS really easy. You don't have to use CSS directly. And Skeleton is a framework that gives you some pre-built components. And it makes it really easy to do some things quickly. So I'm just following the instructions on the Skeleton UI website. I had the wrong window active here, so you can't see me running the command. I'm basically using npm to install Skeleton and to install Tailwind. You have to do some more configuration. You can see I'm choosing JavaScript, plain JavaScript. I'm not using TypeScript. And this is some configuration code that just has to be pasted in. It's going to go in the Tailwind config. So I probably could have just overwritten the whole thing here, but I pasted it in separately just to be careful I wasn't losing anything. For example, this Tailwind CSS typography module plugin would have been lost if I had just copied over everything. But I'm not sure I need that component anyway. So I'm just being careful here to combine the two things. What was given here by default when I created the project, and then what Skeleton UI is telling me to paste in. You can see dark mode is being included here. We're going to come back to that. And that's about it. So the Skeleton plugin is being included right here. So now Skeleton and Tailwind are basically being included, but they're not really doing anything yet. If we go back to the site, nothing's changed because we're going to have to restart the server to actually include the new components. So here I'm going back to the Skeleton UI site because Skeleton comes with these pre-built themes, which gives you, a lot of the nice looking CSS that you want. So here I'm choosing one of the themes. I'm choosing the wintry theme. And so back here in the Tailwind config file, you actually have to set that theme. So now Skeleton's being included along with the wintry theme. And then you need this HTML attribute as well to actually tell it to use the theme. And we'll add that into the app HTML file on the body element. And then going back to the terminal, I stopped the server and restarted it so that everything we've added actually takes effect. And now it's taking effect. It doesn't look that good yet, but you can see that things have changed. Skeleton and Tailwind have overridden the default behavior of the H1 tag that makes the first bit of text there big, because you actually have to use the Tailwind attributes or class names to do what you want to do. So going back to dark mode for a second, I want to use the light switch feature of Skeleton UI, and so I have to change this one key in the Tailwind config file. So instead of just using the class value, I'm changing it to selector. So the dark mode of Skeleton UI can connect to your OS setting for light or dark mode. But in this case, I'm going to connect it to a light switch so that you can choose whether you want to see it light or dark. And then here's the light switch component. So this is the first time we're really using Skeleton UI components. They've got these pre-built components, Svelte components, that you can import and then use in your code. We'll go to the main layout file for the project. Include the component, import the component, and then actually use it here. Now going back to the app, you can see the light switch component is included, and it lets you switch between light and dark mode. Like I said, you can connect this to automatically use whatever your OS is using, but I wanted to use this switch. Now to use another component, I'm going to include the app bar, which gives you this bar at the top. You can put, for example, the title and the light switch into that bar at the top. Here, VS Code is telling me that I'm using the component without actually importing it. That's what those yellow lines are telling me, but I didn't notice at first. So I'm just going to finish setting up what I want, changing the text a little bit. And I'm just following the instructions that are on the Skeleton UI site, and it shows you different variations for this app bar. And I realize I need to import it, so I'm copying that from the website. And now it's there. You can see there's a off-white bar at the top representing the app bar. And a couple more minor fixes here. Adding in a class here because Tailwind and Skeleton take away the default styling that an H1 tag would have. So you can, for example, add in this Tailwind class TextXL, which will make the text bigger, which is normally what an H1 tag would do. And it did make it a little bit bigger there. So off screen, I also set up the GitHub repo. So we had previously initialized Git here. I set up the repo off screen. Now I'm going to commit what we've added here and push it up to GitHub. And then offline, I also created a public site on Vercel. There's a lot of alternatives to Vercel. Vercel is just one that I like to use, but you can import a GitHub repo directly into Vercel. And so you can see now in the URL that I'm using the public site.